Welcome to Coffee Lecture 69. This is the last coffee lecture of our 30th anniversary coffee lecture series. And today it's about preprints, publishing prior to peer review. The traditional scholarly communication process is pretty complicated. You submit your article to a journal, it's reviewed, there's peer review, you have a big chance of getting rejected. So it's a lengthy process which is not under your control as indicated in red. And finally, once your article is accepted, you usually have to pay up to 10,000 Swiss francs to get published, and then your article is visible. With the preprint process, it's much faster, much easier, and much cheaper because you can upload your manuscript yourself to a preprint server. It's usually visible after 1 day or even faster. You get feedback from the community. You can showcase your article. You can even receive citations. You can improve your article over time with multiple versions. So that's a more immediate process of getting visible. And already in 1991, physicists decided on this new form of scholarly communication. So Paul Ginsberg at Los Alamos National Laboratory created the preprint server for physics, ArXiv, the first preprint server, which is now hosted by Cornell University. And in the beginning, it was only sharing a preprint article to peers, to colleagues. So you send it to your friends, your research partners, collaborators, so they could see what you are going to publish. So search and retrieval was not as important as it was mostly a peer-to-peer sharing only. But over time, with more content, retrieval functions are getting more important. So, and also it's possible only to search on an abstract level with most archives, because only the abstract is immediately visible and the other information is in a PDF, which you have to download. But soon preprints got a DOI and further improvements. And it was really popular among physicists, and then other disciplines joined in. And what you get is a PDF, and the style of the PDF depends on the authors. So the authors decide on the visual, but also on the technical format. So all kinds of different PDF formats are uploaded. And then the next one, big one, was the server for the life science community, bioRxiv, which now has also, because there's so much articles stored on this server, there is a really very good advanced search where you can search within title. And in this case, also you can search the full text, which is usually available a few days later for any content. And of course, you can also search for citations. So you know the DOI of a preprint, you can easily search. And you can browse according to categories like systems biology, and you find that there are also articles with sort of peer review with bioRxiv. So this is somehow a competition to publishing, to journals. So it's limited. There are only a few articles that receive these light TRIP reports. TRIP is an acronym for Transparent Review in Preprints. Responsible for the content is solely the author, and you cannot withdraw a manuscript. You can version it, and they are also stored forever on Portico. There are also features coming, like you see how many comments are, if there's a link to a blog or media site, if someone has tweeted it. So here you can see 36 tweets and 1 media post, and you see also that this article has already version 2, and you're viewing the most recent version of the article. So you can see what was added significantly extended the scope of the paper. And you can see with bioRxiv, you have also full text. So you can search and see full text. You don't have to download the PDF and go through the full text. So this is an example on full text, a PDF mapping the content of comments on bioRxiv and medRxiv. And there seems to be relatively low number of articles that receive a comment, only 7%. And someone commented it's probably due because it's a pretty complicated process to comment. And the same is for the medical community, medRxiv, that's the same platform that was very important during the corona pandemic. And again, you have the same advanced search as you have for bioRxiv. But chemists are pretty conservative. They are often very old-fashioned. So it took a long time until chemistry started discussing about the preprint server. And finally, in 2016, it was decided to introduce ChemRxiv for the chemistry community. And this was possible only because the two major chemical journals, Angewandte Chemie and Checks from the American Chemical Society, agreed to accept articles that have been posted as a preprint before. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to publish your research, at least in these two top journals, because you already published it as a preprint, which was not accepted. And finally, the German Chemical Society could be convinced that it's possible to publish a preprint and still have a journal publication, that it's not really a competition and a danger, a threat to the publishing model. So when this tweet came up, Angewandte Chemie now take preprints. That was one of the most viewed tweets of ChemRxiv. And a couple of months later, also the American Chemical Society and the editorial board of Checks got convinced that they could accept now articles that have been published before as a preprint. So that opened the door for ChemRxiv. And ChemRxiv is now supported by 5 scientific societies, the Chinese, the Japanese, the British, and the German, and the American. And there will be no more societies. You still have not a good search. You can browse categories, and there's, of course, a limited set of categories. You can see the latest content. You can see the metrics. It's easy to submit, but it's not easy to discover, but hopefully this is getting improved over time. So if you click on a category like inorganic chemistry, you see most read, most cited, latest content, which is also from other disciplines within inorganic chemistry, or not only inorganic chemistry, like physical chemistry. And you have the same system where you can see the version history, the metrics, nicely the licenses. You can see they also have a DOI, and you can also comment. So you have the abstract, but not full text available on screen. You have to go to the PDF, but now there's also funding indexed, and you can upload supplementary material. And if you want to comment, you have to register with ORCID, or if you already have ORCID, which most of you probably have, it's easy to comment. And again, the PDF looks like the authors have designed it. If you do a search in a simple search box, for example, for rhodium catalyst, you get a lot of results, but there are not really filter options. Once you do a search, you can see you could do a keyword search, but this is only within the author keywords, and you could do an author search, but not with ORCID, for example. So this needs further improvement. Here you have an example where you have 2 versions, and you can comment logging in with your ORCID ID. Because ChemRxiv is very popular and there are more and more articles, researchers want to see their paper also in extracting and indexing databases like Web of Science, like Scopus, like Dimensions. And the good news from 5th of October this year is that preprints are now searchable in Scopus. So if you search for a preprint, you will find also preprints. And if you look for a certain author, you will see also his or her preprints. So Scopus takes preprints from these 7 archives, including ChemRxiv, bioRxiv, medRxiv. So if you search in Scopus, for example, conversion and methane, you can see there are preprints, and you can see also where the preprints come from. And now a bit about how ChemRxiv is managed. So it's maintained by the American Chemical Society. You submit your article, there's a certain quality control to avoid that weird or strange papers are getting uploaded. If there is some doubt if it's a paper which should be rejected or not, The scientific advisory board is also getting asked in this case, but the scientific advisory board is also there to improve ChemRxiv for the needs of the scientists. And I'm also part of this scientific advisory board, so I can give you some insights what's coming. First, some metrics. So you can see ChemRxiv has meanwhile really accepted by chemists who were reluctant posting preprints. So there are 28,000 submissions with a lot of preprint reviews. You can see there's really a lot of traffic with these preprints. You can see that last year or this year in August, that was a new record with monthly submissions. And you can see also the average acceptance rate, which is 95% something. So almost every paper that has sort of a quality and is not just a garbage paper or a fun paper is getting accepted. And there was recently also a questionnaire what should be improved with ChemRxiv. For example, a request was to view HTML on screen for easier navigation, email alerts for new contents, which is still missing, improved search dashboards for all co-authors, and expanded direct transfer to journals, which is difficult because you have to format the PDF from the author to XML and then make the XML compatible to the publishing site from the journal. So once all this done, you have two ways to publish your research, which are somehow connected. So once this direct transfer is established for all journals, indicated by the yellow line, you have an immediate transfer from your article to the journal. Once it has somehow aged in the scientific community, you improved it, and then you can submit it to a journal and have your traditional publication. If you want to have the digital coffee lecture card, just drop me an email. Luckily, I have a very short email address, which is easy to memorize, reno@edhz.ch, and I will send you the coffee lecture card 69 for preprints. Thank you, and looking forward seeing and hearing you for the next coffee lecture series 31.